In this video, I'm going to show you how to create this text effect right inside of Adobe After Effects. So let's get into it. So before we jump into After Effects and begin with this effect, it's first really important that you have two words that actually link. So let's go with hello and everyone. So if we were to increase the E, you've got the E starting everyone. But unfortunately, if you were going to go for, let's say, Brooker and photography, nothing is motivating that photography because that P, that starting letter, isn't in the first word. Unfortunately, that's not going to motivate the movement. So it's really important that you have two words that are able to interlink with one another. So hello, the E, is motivating that everyone. So with that being said, let's begin with this effect. So first of all, you just want to begin by creating a new text layer. So we'll select the horizontal type tool. And to begin with, we're just going to type out the entire first word. So hello. And the reason why we're doing this is because we're styling the text before we go ahead and cut it up later on. So from here, you want to select the character window. And if you can't see the character window for any reason, then you just want to go into window and make sure the character window is selected. Now from here, you can change the font. You can go ahead and change the weight of this, but I like to keep this nice and heavy. Then you can increase the size, you can increase the kerning, and I would recommend adding some kerning because we're going to add some masking between these letters later on. So make sure they're not sitting directly on top of each other like this. Make sure they've actually got some room to breathe. So let's go for 100 on kerning. And then from there, you can just go ahead and center this up roughly. So somewhere around here. It doesn't need to be perfect because we're going to parent all of this to a null object later on. So now you've created your text, you now need to figure out where the word is going to pop out from. So the second word in my example is going to be everyone. So that begins with the E. So that means we need to isolate the E. So that means we need a layer for the H, we need a layer for the E, and then we need a separate layer for L, L, and O. So we need 3 layers for this first word. So we're just going to copy and paste that. So we'll go Command C, Command V, and we need 3 text layers for this hello. We'll go to that first layer and we're just going to delete the E, the L, and the O. Then we'll go to layer 2 and we'll just delete the H. And then we'll delete the L, L, and O. So that's just H and E. Then we'll go to this last layer and we'll just delete the H and the E. So now we've got H, E, L, L, O. And then of course these have all sort of sat on top of each other, and that's because the paragraph style is over to the left. They've got a left alignment. So we're just going to move these over. So select everything. Press P on the keyboard to load position. And then we'll just move the position of this layer over here. We'll move the position of the E over, and then we'll pull the L, the O back over to here. So from here, you want to go roughly 1 second into your video. We're going to go onto all of these layers, and we'll create a brand new keyframe on the position by selecting the stopwatch icon. Now we're just going to go into that E, and we're just going to press S on the keyboard to load scale, and we're going to create a brand new keyframe on this scale at the exact same point there. Then we'll go a few frames over to the right and we'll increase the scale of that character up, so somewhere around here. And then from there, you just want to move the position of these 2 other layers, so the H, the L, the O, over so that it's got space to breathe. So if we play that back, it's going to look like this. Of course, though, there is absolutely no character there. So what we're going to do is go into the L, the O, so this layer here. We'll create a brand new keyframe on the position with that same value as the second keyframe. We'll go to the E and we'll create a new keyframe on the scale, again at the same value. And we'll do the same with position on H. Then we'll go to that middle set of keyframes. So we'll go here and we'll increase the scale of the E a bit further than it needs to be. So as you can see, that's going to create this bouncing effect like so. But the problem is now, because this E is bigger than it needs to be, it's starting to overlap with these letters over here. So we're going to push these even further over to the right. So we'll go to this layer here, we'll go to that second set of keyframes and we'll move the position over to the right. And we'll push this further than it needs to be because it's going to create this bouncing effect. And then we'll do the same thing with the H as well. So we'll push that over to the left. It's further than it needs to be. And when we play that back, now that looked great, but the problem is I just feel like it was a bit too quick to fall back into alignment. So I'm just going to move all of these keyframes over to the right. And that looks better. Now from here, we're just going to finish off this particular motion by selecting all of those keyframes. We'll right click on one of them, go keyframe assistant and select easy ease. As you can see, that's just going to clean up that motion and make it look really nice. Now from here, we need to go ahead and create a new text layer, and this is for the everyone. So we'll wait until this has sat in position, so somewhere around here. Then we'll go to the T icon, and we're just going to type out everyone. And of course, as you can see, that is just a bit too big, so we're just going to decrease the scale of this, like so. And as you can see, we've already got the E, so we don't need the E on everyone. So we'll just delete that, so it is very one. And then we'll just zoom in and make sure the top of this line aligns up perfectly with the top of here. So it's pretty much there, but I just need to make a few tweaks. And there you go. That looks great. So that will be the final resting position for this effect. So what we're going to do is we're going to go a few frames over to the right. We'll press P on the keyboard with everyone being selected. Create a brand new keyframe on position. Then we'll go over to the left at the end of this motion. We'll pull this all the way over to the left so that it is hidden behind the E. We can go a bit further. There you go. But again, we need that bounce like that first text had. So we're just going to go to that second keyframe. We'll go over a few frames and create another keyframe. Then we'll go to that middle keyframe again, and we'll just move this further over to the right. And when we play this back, we get this cool bouncing effect happening. The problem is though, at the moment, we can see this text just waiting to come on. If we play this from the beginning, you've got this random text just chilling there. So we just want to go ahead and get rid of that. So we'll go to the final resting position. So it was around here. We'll go up to the rectangle tool on the top bar of After Effects. You can press Q, that is the keyboard shortcut for that. And then we're just going to draw a rectangle mask around this text, making sure that the left of the mask is just comfortably sitting up against the end of the E, like so. Then you just want to go into Mask 1 and select Mask Path, and we'll create a brand new keyframe on the mask path by selecting the stopwatch icon. Now we'll go to that second keyframe, and we're just going to make sure that's sitting back where it was, and then we'll just expand that mask over to the right just a touch, just so it doesn't creep out of that mask. Then we'll go back to that first keyframe, and as you can see, that mask is now traveling with the position of the text. So we're just going to update the position of the mask so that it is now sitting back, comfortably aligned up with the end of the E. And as you can see, that means the text is going to appear from behind that E. So if we play this back, you can see we've got this really cool text effect now happening. Of course, though, we do need to add that keyframe interpolation onto these new keyframes. So we're just going to select all of those, right-click the one of them, keyframe assistant, and select easy ease. And that should look great. And it does. So in order to complete this effect, we need to go into Layer, New, Null Object. We're going to select all of those text layers. We'll grab one of these pick whip tools and we'll drag that onto the null object. So essentially everything is now linked to that null object. So whatever we do to the null will apply to the text. So we'll go to the end when everything's on screen. We'll go into the transform on null, and you can either decrease the scale of this, you can move this over into a corner, or you can add this into the middle. If you use the proportional grid, you can see exactly where the middle is. So somewhere around here. There you go. That's now sitting in the middle. It's got all the space it needs to breathe. And then finally, one last thing, we just need to select everything. So select all of those layers. And then turn the motion blur on. If you can't see this motion blur icon, then select toggle switches / modes to reveal that. And then just make sure this motion blur icon is blue. And when we play this back, you'll see we've got this really awesome text effect with motion blur now applied. And there you go. That is how you create this text effect right inside of Adobe Premiere Pro. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate your support, and hopefully I will see you on the next video. See you there.